guys, so here is a sneak peek of the Leopard. So the Leopard is going to be number 3 on the Dangerous 6 series. We're really excited about this knife because it's a much smaller knife. The whole idea of this is to be your EDC. It's always going to be on you, in the glove box of your car, in your backpack, wherever it is, a blade that you can basically always have on you at all times. So we're actually going to be talking you through how we make this knife, this prototype, I should say. So we start off with a blank. So this is how we get our blanks. We use N690 stainless steel. It's a really, really good quality stainless, excellent working characteristics, good edge holding. It's just a all-around really good quality steel. So we have it laser cut. It's entirely our own CAD design. We design everything ourselves in-house from scratch in CAD. So that's how we're able to get the skeletonized handle. And yeah, so that's basically how it comes, just like that. What I'm going to do first, I'm going to mark up the edge here with some blue marker pen, and then we'll scribe some basic grind lines, and then we're just going to cut the initial rough bevels in before heat treat. So it's what I call our pre-heat treat grind. We're not aiming to be particularly precise or take the bevel far up on this knife. We're literally just cutting it in so that we make sure that we're getting a full depth of hardness when we go in for the heat treat. Right, so now that we've cut our initial pre-heat treat grind into this blade, so I've got it on with a piece of wire. We're going to go into our kiln. So I've actually prepped up 2. We're making 2 prototypes at the same time. So there's our 2 prepped up. We're going to go into the kiln and then we're going to do the heat treat. So let's get this underway. So I use a hanging setup, and this is 1050 degrees Celsius. So this is hot. That's looped around. It can be fiddly. Okay, that should do it. All right, so that goes back into there. All right, and then I set a 12-minute timer for N690 stainless steel. We're looking at 12 minutes on the clock. So I start 12 minutes now. We'll see those in 12 minutes. Okay guys, 12 minutes up, here we go. Let's grab this first one. Ooh. So always agitate your blade in the quench. Make sure that you're breaking any vapor lock that's happening. Okay, and once it gets cold to that point there, cut the wire off the back. Cool, and then that will go in between the quench blades now. Once I get the second one out, so second knife. So this is a specially formulated and engineered quenching oil that's designed to do exactly this. No vegetable oils here. Those off, right. That can go down there. So both of these are still hot, but we're well below critical temperature. So they're probably around the 200-degree mark, somewhere there. So that's why we put them in between these aluminum quench plates. That way we know they're going to come out dead flat, dead straight every single time. Okay guys, so now that these have cooled off a little bit, I can go ahead and pull them out of the quench plates. Put that one over there for later. So they are perfectly straight, and if I get a file, rock hard. So you can see when steel is hardened, it takes on that gray, that really nice sort of that light gray color. So we are super hard everywhere. Now, ordinarily, from here basically, they would go back into there at about 200 degrees Celsius to be tempered. However, because I've literally just quenched and just done the main heat treat in there, that oven is still way too hot to temper out of. and it actually takes about a day for it to cool down. So ordinarily when I do heat treating, I heat treat a whole bunch of knives, build up a whole stack of them, and then I put a whole stack in there the next day to be tempered. That's what I ordinarily do. I don't have that luxury today, obviously with the filming, so I'm gonna grind this as it is. I'm gonna be very, very careful with it, because if I drop it, then there's a chance it could shatter. But just to show you guys exactly my grinding process, we're just gonna grind this as it is, fresh out the quench. So let's get to grinding. So the whole point now of this next grind is we're gonna basically be cleaning it all off and doing what I call our final grinds, where we'll chase this bevel all the way up as high as we want it. We'll thin out the edge to, I can't even remember what my measurement is. I eyeball it basically, but nice thin edge there. And then we'll go ahead and clean off the rest of the knife so that we are ready for hand sanding. So let's show you how I do that. Okay guys, so that's pretty much all of the grinding done that we're going to show on camera at least. What I would ordinarily do is run this up through the grits a little bit, just to make it a little bit easier on hand sanding. But basically from this point out, it's ready to go for hand sanding. So if you want to watch people hand sand for hours and hours and hours, there's lots of guys on YouTube who show you that side of the process. Today I'm not going to, because I'm not hand sanding this today. It's the last thing I feel like doing. But what I can do is I can show you some stuff that has been hand sanded already. Okay guys, so moved back into this workshop now, and we're actually looking at the Shumba blade. So we left off the Leopard on the grinder, basically all ready for hand sanding. I'm not going to do that now. So here is a Shumba blade that hasn't been hand sanded yet. So this is where I kind of leave them off in preparation for hand sand. And like I say, lots of videos on YouTube. You can go and you can watch people hand sand, real ASMR stuff. I just don't want to do that today. In typical TV fashion, here are some I prepared earlier. So what you're looking at here is probably a week's worth of work in terms of hand sanding. I think I've got 19 or 20 pre-hand sanded blades here waiting for their handles. So this is how the knife looks when it's now hand sanded. We go up to a 400 grit. It's a working hand sand, so it's more of a satin finish. It's a really nice durable finish, and it just shows that the blade is handmade, and you know, a lot of care and attention has gone into it, but without going OTT, without spending literally, you know, hundreds of hours hand sanding something that ideally we want people to use. We want this to go out into the bush and get used. So yeah, we think we've found a nice balance between sort of that super high-end satin look and obviously a usable knife. Okay guys, so here's how I do my handles. So I've actually already prepped this whole box of handles, but let's just talk you through it. So I take my scales. So these come to me as a matching book match set of scales, and I tape them together. You see a lot of guys often struggle with pin alignment. This method works for me and it's never let me down. So I tape the two scales together so there's no movement between the two of them. I then take my knife, okay, and all I'll do is put the knife on the blade, drill out our back hole first. Then what I do, take a pin, lightly tap it in, so then our knife is fixed at the back there. Now what we're going to do is we're going to drill that middle hole. Take another pin and tap that gently, tap that in there. Now that knife can't move. That's locked in position. So now for the lanyard tube at the back, all I do is I take a big drill bit that's the same size as that rear thing. And that just gives us a center mark. And I just drill a short little pilot hole, for our lanyard tube later when we do glue up. And then I come across to this machine here. This has got my slightly smaller drill bit for my front holes. And there we go. Now I can pull these pins out. And that's a perfect set of holes for this knife and for all the other knives. And there's a whole box of them ready to go. Okay, so once we've got our scales pre-drilled like this, basically I've made up this little tool out of some G10. All that this does is I line this up with the holes, like so. I can then take a marker, I can mark all the way around, and then that will give us our outline that we can then cut with a bandsaw. So I'll cut those out with a bandsaw. I will then clean off the insides, so make sure that the insides are super nice and flat, and then I will put them together and clean off the front. This is cleaned off to a 400 grit, so basically finished, like they're ready to go onto the knife, and then I'll put them together like this. So this is a set of handle scales all ready for the glue up, and I always make sure that I mark both sides, that if they ever do get separated from each other and I have a whole box of these things, they don't get mixed up. So that's like that. And then from here we'll go to the glue up, and then glue up and handle shaping. And once again, here's one I prepared earlier. So this is a Shumba that I've already done all of the handle shaping. You can see it's got a really nice taper on the handle that way around. We've broken all the corners, we've rounded it over, we've glued in our carbon fiber lanyard tube, and we've already done the hand sanding on this. So this is actually only a 220 grit hand sand. So it's not a high hand sand at all, but it's got a super nice shine to it. It's actually on the verge of, it's not slippery, but it's really nice and clean. And I don't want it to be any finer than that, because it then will become slippery. And once again, these knives are made to be used. So this wild olive takes just a super nice finish. You don't have to go nuts chasing it to 1500 or 2000 grit. There are definitely some woods where you would do that, but there's no need to on this knife. So that's basically the handle side of the Shumba. So guys, we've basically walked you through most of the way through making the Leopard prototype, and then the Shumba blade, putting a handle on the Shumba blade. We're not going to get a chance to do it, but from here, what we'll be doing is we'll be putting a Kydex sheath, making a Kydex sheath for this knife. So I think what we're going to do actually is we're going to cover that in a future episode. So thanks for watching this video. If you've made it this far, awesome. Thank you so much. This is the first one on the channel. We hope to bring you a lot more content, making knives, making some other cool things, but really just showing off what we can do in this workshop. Thanks guys, thanks for tuning in. If you've made it this far, please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, usual YouTube plug, but it really does help us out. It allows us to bring you more content. It allows us to keep making cool knives, bringing them to you guys. So yeah, if you can, please. Thank you very much.